Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the hidden side of deception. I'm Hannah, and today we're going to delve into one of the most subtle, yet for many, most painful forms of betrayal. We're not talking about a physical affair, but about something that feels like a stab to the very soul: emotional infidelity.
And I'm Ryan. This is a vital conversation because society often downplays it. We've become conditioned to think that if there's no physical contact, there's no cheating. But as you said so well, the heart can betray just as easily. And the damage caused by a deep emotional connection with someone outside the relationship can be just as, if not more devastating than a simple sexual encounter.
Exactly. Let's start with the basics, Ryan. What exactly is emotional infidelity, and how does it show up in a couple's daily life?
Emotional infidelity is a betrayal of the bond of intimacy and trust you share with your partner. It's the act of redirecting that emotional connection, that support, that sense of complicity toward a third person. It often starts innocently, as a friendship at work or with an acquaintance. The clearest manifestation is secrecy. The person begins having conversations, sharing anecdotes, and seeking the opinion of this other person on topics they once only shared with their partner.
I've seen it many times in my practice. It's a gradual process. At first, it's just short messages. Then they become long conversations late at night. The unfaithful person starts comparing you to the other person, idealizing them. And what's worse, the cheated partner often can't point to a specific act, which makes them doubt their own perceptions.
That's the trap of emotional infidelity. Because there's no physical act, the person committing it can justify their actions. We're just friends. There's nothing wrong with this. But the harm is very real. The deceived person feels the void, the emotional distance. It's as if their partner's heart is somewhere else, and they're left feeling the cold emptiness of their absence.
Speaking of the digital age, what role does cyber infidelity play in this? Can it be considered a form of emotional infidelity?
Absolutely. Cyber infidelity is the digital manifestation of emotional and sometimes physical infidelity. Through social media, chat apps, or other platforms, people can build intimate connections without any physical contact. Online flirting, exchanging messages with romantic or sexual undertones, or even just actively seeking validation from another person through likes and comments can all be considered cyber infidelity.
It's all about accessibility. The temptation is just a click away. Do you think people are more likely to commit emotional or cyber infidelity because they feel safe since there's no physical act involved?
Exactly. The screen acts as a psychological barrier that makes them feel protected from the consequences. It's what we call online disinhibition in psychology. The person dares to say or do things they would never do in person. But the impact on the partner is very real. The pain of seeing your partner connect emotionally with someone else, even if it's just through a screen, can be just as intense as the pain of a physical affair.
And this leads us to the big question. What are the key differences and similarities between the different types of infidelity?
The differences lie in the type of intimacy being shared. In physical infidelity, the focus is on sexual intimacy. In emotional infidelity, it's about intimacy of feelings and complicity. And in cyber infidelity, it's about intimacy through technology. But the similarities are more important. In all three cases, there's a breach of the agreement of exclusivity, a betrayal of trust, and deep pain for the deceived person.
And are the motivations behind these types of infidelity the same? Why would someone choose one path over another?
The motivations are often related to a void in the relationship or in the unfaithful person's life. For example, someone might turn to emotional infidelity because they feel lonely or misunderstood in their relationship. They're not looking for sex, they're looking for connection. Physical infidelity might stem from sexual dissatisfaction. And cyber infidelity could be driven by a need for validation or a craving for novelty. But at the core, the root cause is the same: an unmet need.
Let's talk about the psychological consequences. For the deceived person, emotional infidelity can be particularly hard to process. Why is that?
Because there's no smoking gun. There's no physical evidence they can point to. The person feels crazy. They question if they're overreacting. And emotional infidelity directly attacks the foundation of the relationship: intimacy and connection. They feel like their place as a confidant and best friend has been usurped. This leads to a profound sense of insecurity, low self-esteem, and, in many cases, depression and anxiety.
It's a silent wound. And for the person who cheats, do you think they have a different kind of guilt?
The guilt is different. The person committing emotional infidelity often rationalizes their actions. "I didn't do anything wrong," they tell themselves. But deep down, they know they've broken trust. This can lead to cognitive dissonance, an internal conflict that can manifest as irritability, emotional distance, and a constant need to lie to protect the secret.
So, how do we identify the warning signs of an emotional affair? We've talked about the cyber signs, but what about the behavioral indicators?
The warning signs are subtle, but if you look at them together, they are very revealing. First, emotional distance. You feel like your partner is no longer present, even when they are physically with you. Second, secrecy. Your partner starts deleting messages, is guarded with their phone, or has conversations in private. And third, constant comparison. They start talking about a third person, admiring their qualities and comparing them to yours. And finally, a change in routine, like spending more time at work or with a new friendship.
And how do you confront this? It's a very delicate situation.
The most important thing is assertive communication. It's not about accusing, but about expressing how you feel. Instead of saying, "You're cheating on me," it's more effective to say, "I feel lonely, and I feel like you're not sharing things with me like you used to." This opens the door to a conversation, not a confrontation. If your partner is willing to talk and acknowledge the problem, you can begin the work of rebuilding. If they are denial or evasive, it's a sign that the problem is even deeper.
And the big question everyone asks, is it possible to rebuild trust after an emotional infidelity?
It's a difficult path, but yes. The process of healing and rebuilding requires the person who was unfaithful to take full responsibility for their actions, without excuses or justifications. They must be willing to be completely transparent and to rebuild intimacy from the ground up. The deceived person, in turn, must be willing to forgive, not as an act of forgetting, but as an act of release to heal their own wounds. Often, couples counseling is a fundamental tool in this process, as it helps both parties navigate the turbulent waters of betrayal and forgiveness.
To close out, what's your final thought on the importance of redefining infidelity in the modern world?
My final thought is that it's crucial to understand that infidelity doesn't have to be physical to be real. Emotional and cyber infidelity are legitimate forms of deception that cause real and profound pain. By acknowledging and validating these forms of deception, we are not only protecting our relationships, but we're also encouraging greater honesty and transparency in our bonds. Redefining infidelity invites us to have deeper conversations about what fidelity means to each of us, and to build healthier, more conscious relationships in the complex world we live in.
I completely agree, Ryan. It's an invitation to be honest, first with ourselves and then with our partner. And to you, our audience, we want to invite you to be a part of this community. If you have experienced a situation of emotional, physical, or cyber infidelity, or if you're going through a moment like this, we invite you to share your thoughts and feelings in the comments.
And if you prefer and feel comfortable, we would love for you to send us your stories anonymously. We firmly believe in the power of community and the value of sharing to heal. Your experiences are the foundation of this project, and we want to give them a voice. You can find the link to send us your stories in the description of this video.
It's a way of transforming pain into wisdom. Thank you for tuning in to The Hidden Side of Deception. Until next time.